So, you're here because your chickens are laying very few or no eggs this winter. Well, I'm here to share with you some of my secrets for keeping chickens laying all winter long with no light or no supplemental heat. But before we get started, if you guys like videos about cooking, animal care, gardening, and everything else related to homesteading, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications for more videos like this one. So first we're going to talk about why chickens stop laying in winter. Well, as the days start to get shorter and starts to get cooler out, chickens start going through a process called molting, where they lose all their old feathers to grow new ones. When this happens, they're putting a lot of energy into feather production and not as much into eggs. So this is when you're going to start seeing your egg production drop off, pretty dramatically too. And once they get all their feathers in, our days are so short that there's not enough light in the day for chickens to produce eggs. Chickens need about 14 hours of sunlight to produce eggs on a daily basis. So you may be tempted to add an artificial light into your coop to get your chickens to produce eggs. And while this will bring them right back up to the production that you're expecting, the risks might outweigh the pros for you. Some of the risks would be a higher production cost because of running the light. You'll be spending more money on electricity to run the light. Depending on what light you use, this can also be a fire hazard because a lot of the stuff in the coops is flammable. All the dust and the pine shavings. Chickens can mess with the wiring with the lights, which can be an added risk to your chickens, as well as, I said before, a fire hazard. Adding a light may cause additional stress to your chickens when they should be resting and focusing on surviving the cold of winter. And with this additional stress, they are more likely to fight, which can cause further injury, as well as forcing chickens to lay throughout the winter when they should be in their resting period can cause issues like ovarian cancer and other reproductive issues that may shorten the lifespan of your chicken. So now you may be asking,
why are you making a video about making chickens lay eggs in winter when you just said that they needed to rest?
Well, light tricks their body into thinking that it's a different season, therefore forcing them to produce eggs throughout the winter. Whereas the tips that I'm going to be sharing are only going to encourage egg production, and they're still going to know that it's winter. And my tips are not going to help you get back up to spring or summer production of eggs. This is only going to help you get more than just a few eggs. So for example, we have just under 30 hens here at Large Family Homestead with just a couple roosters. And we were getting 3 to 6 eggs when the molting started and through winter. Once I started implementing these tips, we started getting 9 to 14 eggs a day. So like I said, not spring production, whereas we'd probably be getting closer to 2 dozen a day, but much better than we were. That's 3 times what we were getting before. Another thing you might be tempted to do is add supplemental heat into your chicken coop. Now this might be necessary if you live in a very cold climate and it stays very cold for a long period of time. But for us here in East Texas, supplemental heat is definitely not necessary at any point, pretty much no matter what chicken breed you have. But I just wanted to list some of the dangers of supplemental heat. If you do decide to put heat in your chicken coop, make sure you're not using a heat lamp like you would use for chicks. Chickens can peck at the light bulb, and also they put out a crazy 435 degrees Fahrenheit worth of heat, which is very hot. So make sure you're using a heater that is designed specifically for chicken coops, especially because, like I said before, chicken coops do have a lot of flammable things in them with all the dust and the pine shavings. Another danger is that they may turn off in the middle of the night, which would subject your chickens to feeling comfortable in the chicken coop and then all of a sudden it being very cold, which could put their body through a shock and they might die. So just a few things to keep in mind if you decide to add supplemental heat to your chicken coop. Tip number 1, switch to a higher quality feed. Now this might be something that you're already doing. You might be feeding your chickens a higher quality feed, and if that's the case, you can totally disregard this tip. But for those of you who are feeding your chickens Purina or Do More or Producer's Pride or something similar, these are lower quality feeds that only contain the bare minimum nutrients that your chickens need. While this is fine during the spring and summer months, the winter months, they do need more nutrients than this. So I would recommend switching to something high quality. Doesn't need to be top of the line, but something maybe just a little bit better. Tip number 2, switch to a layer feed that contains 20% protein. This might be something that is harder to find in your area depending on where you are. I was lucky enough to be able to find a local feed store that sold 20% feed, but most chicken feeds contain 15 to 19% protein, and that is because it is the most expensive ingredient in chicken feed. So bumping their protein up to 20% makes a big difference. You could also give them high protein treats too. So when would I recommend switching to 20% feed? I would switch when they start molting, because the higher protein will help them grow their feathers back quicker and better. All right, tip number 3 is to feed your chickens whole corn. Now the reason I'm saying whole instead of cracked corn is because if you feed them whole corn, it takes them longer to digest, therefore keeping their bodies warmer, and they have to use less energy for keeping warm in the colder days. Now what I like to do is I feed them a very small amount of extra corn, especially since corn is already in our chicken feed. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just give them a little, just like a scoop or so of whole corn with their feed in the morning, and that's what I've been doing. And I know that some people are against feeding their chickens corn, and if that's the case, you don't have to feed your chickens corn. This is just something that I do, and it does seem to help a lot. One thing to keep in mind if you do decide to feed them whole corn is make sure they have access to a good high quality grit at all times, because like I said, whole corn does take them longer and it's harder for them to digest. So just make sure they have a good high quality grit. I like to use McMurray. I get it from Azure, but you can use whatever works for you. All right, tip number 4, more treats more often. So some treats that I like to give them is obviously you can give them chicken scratch, which is a great treat for them. When I say more treats more often, obviously do not exceed what chickens should have based on how much feed they're eating, because they can get sick from this. But if you can give them more often, it does seem to help. So I like to give them more chicken scratch more often. The corn, if you don't want to feed it to them on a daily basis, will make a good treat. Another thing you could give them is fruit and veggie scraps from your kitchen. Another thing you could do is give them leftover meat from your kitchen. I don't recommend giving them chicken, but maybe some beef to help with that protein. And one other thing that I like to give them is black soldier fly larvae. And this is a really good treat, high protein treat for those colder months. Whatever you give them though, make sure it is high quality. After our research on different treats, we've chosen GrubTerra for our black soldier fly larvae. GrubTerra did reach out to us because we were using a different brand of black soldier fly larvae for our chickens, and they sent us a bag to try, and I have to say that I'm pretty impressed. It's really high quality. So just to take a quick look at the nutritional information here, the protein is 34% minimum, and this is great for when during the winter. You need the high protein for the winter. And see, the fat's 32%, and like I said on that calcium, nice high calcium rate. As you can see, this is all really good for your chickens over the winter. Really will help with the egg production. All of GrubTerra's black soldier fly larvae is grown in the USA, Canada, Costa Rica, and South Africa. So you don't have to worry about it. It is never from China. The black soldier fly larvae from GrubTerra are raised on a balance of fruit, vegetables, and carbohydrates, giving them a very nutritious, healthy, balanced diet, which means better grubs that are better for your chickens. The one thing that I really love about GrubTerra's black soldier fly larvae is the food that they give them would have been thrown into landfills. So for every 1 pound of grubs that you buy, you saved 20 pounds of food waste being thrown into landfills, which is just amazing. And with GrubTerra's treats having 75% more calcium than mealworms, they produce stronger eggshells. And I have noticed that by feeding my chickens black soldier fly larvae, I have gotten much stronger eggshells from them. One thing that I absolutely love about GrubTerra's black soldier fly larvae is that there's no additives and no preservatives in their black soldier fly larvae. So you do not have to worry about that. Giving to these to your chickens is really the best choice. Another thing about feeding your chickens black soldier fly larvae is they have a better ability to fight off sicknesses due to the antimicrobial benefits of this larvae. For my honest review of GrubTerra, I would definitely give it a 5 out of 5 stars. It is the perfect treat for your chickens or for any poultry flock. My chickens did really seem to enjoy them, and a happier chicken does lay more eggs. So In addition to selling dried black soldier fly larvae for your chicken, they also sell live black soldier fly larvae for reptiles and dog treats, and I did see a couple other things on their website. And for those of you watching today, you get a special coupon code. Use coupon code GRUB10 for 10% off of any purchase on their website. Even the dogs want these treats.
No, doggy.
You guys can't have them. I'll give you a treat later. Alright, tip number 5 is going to be to use the deep litter method in your coop. Now, this is another thing that if you're worried about the cold, this will help keep your coop naturally warmer. If you guys want a video on the deep litter method explained, I can do that. But the way the deep litter method works is it provides a lot of floor insulation, as well as the decomposition of the dried pine shavings provides a natural heat. And some other tips that I have for you guys would be to add temporary walls and ceilings to your chicken coops to make them smaller, thereby retaining more heat. We did not do this to our chicken coop just because the chickens need all the space that they have in our coop, and we're in East Texas, so it doesn't get that cold that I'd have to be worried about adding temporary walls and ceilings. But this is something you could do. If there's also any cracks or holes in your coop, go ahead and cover them up with tarps or some wood. Another thing you could do is keep a cold hardy breed, and we keep black Australorps. This is a cold hardy breed that you can get. There's lots of other cold hardy breeds out there, some even more cold hardy than black Australorps. But if you're looking for a breed that's going to do better in the winter, I would definitely pick a cold hardy breed. We like to get our chicks from McMurray as well as hatching our own. Both times I have ordered from McMurray, I have had no birds dead, which is amazing. And they didn't even die while I was raising them, which is incredible. So if you guys are looking into ordering chicks, ducklings, goslings, turkeys, make sure you guys check out their website this spring. If you guys have any tips that I have missed in this video, make sure you guys drop a comment down below and let our audience know. And if you guys found this video informational and educational, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and we'll see you soon.